know me, my name is Ronnie. I am a donor egg mom in waiting. And what that just means is I was told by my doctor in order for me to have a chance to have a baby, to use donor eggs. So that's what I did. I got a donor. That road has not been easy. I've had a few losses, but we're still on the road um, to still going to get my baby. So we have Sanetta on the panel today. She's going to talk about her journey. She is currently pregnant. And so you want to, ooh!
Something.
So let's start from the beginning. How did you find out that you had blocked tubes?
Okay, that began in 2017. That's when let me start from the beginning. I've always wanted to be married first and then have a baby. So I was waiting on the perfect person, and then, we get married, all this fairy tale stuff in my head. I'm a Cancer, that's how it goes in our head. So, and it was not happening, and I was starting to get like anxious, I guess. So the guy I was dating, we weren't married, but I was ready to start having a baby, and we were trying, and nothing was happening. And I had already had a history of irregular periods. And you all, the women on this call, you can attest to, if you miss your period and you take a test and you're not pregnant at that time when you're younger, you're like, okay, cool, great. So that's what was happening to me. My periods was coming on like 4 times a year, and I would take a test and I'm like, okay, I'm not pregnant. Okay, keep the party going, whatever. And then when I started when I was ready to have a baby, and I was like, okay, it's not happening. And I think it's like a year. So finally, I went to the doctor. She did the whole blood work, the whole 9 yards, everything. And she said, oh, you're not ovulating. She said, all that time, which had been probably since 2012 to 2017, that I was having irregular periods, I actually wasn't ovulating. And that's basically when my infertility started. So at the time, I was not trying to conceive, so I wasn't worried about the missed period. So she said, I also want you to get the hysteropingogram exam. I hope I said that correctly, but the HSG. And when they did the HSG, that's when they realized one tube was blocked. So they was able to unblock both tubes, but by then I had decided to end the relationship with my boyfriend. So 2018 January, I got my tubes unblocked, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, my tubes are unblocked. I'm ready for the next man, so I can be ready to give him a baby and ready for marriage and all this other stuff. But unbeknownst to me, that's not how tubes work. So while they're open for a little while, they actually close back oftentimes.
Right.
So 2018, I'm single. 19, 20, I'm single. 21, I get me a boyfriend. He looks promising. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just get another workup of my exam after about a year of dating. So this is like 2022. And they was like, okay, both of your tubes are blocked now. So I did the HSG thing again, and they said one of the tubes slightly opened a little bit, but when they put the dye in the tubes, it slightly uh, leaked out into my uterus slightly. So they were just like, more than likely it's going to close back again, and
Right.
they advised me to either do IVF or IUI. And at the time, I brought that up to him, and he was not ready. He was like, oh, IVF, that's a heavy decision. That's more for like a married couple. So I waited and I waited. 2022 comes around, 2023 comes around, 2024 comes around. I still don't have a ring on my finger. So at this point, I'm like, it's now or never. I can't wait on this man to propose to me. I can't wait on this man to be ready. So I basically put my foot down and was just like, okay, this is happening with or without you. I had already did my research. I already knew how much it cost to get a sperm donor. It was like $1,000. I was like, okay, this is happening with or without you. Either you get on board or you don't. So he got on board. So I started my first consultation in September of 2024. And to go back a little bit, 2023, I kind of like just gave up. I was like, okay, it's not
Right.
happening. I'm not married. I just gave up. And then one of my friends who's 41, she just surprisingly got pregnant. And then I had the baby fever all over again. So that's when 2024, I was like, okay, this is happening. I want to give my body a chance, even if it's just once or twice, because financially I couldn't, I've heard things that I did my research and I financially could not afford more than 2 rounds. And I said, I want to give my body a chance. So I decided to go to Mexico. I did my research and I was like, okay, the cheapest place in the United States seems to be CNY, but that's in
Right.
Sarasota. So I got to do 4 hour drive to Sarasota from Miami, or I fly to Mexico where it's just as cheaper. And I just chose Mexico because it was one of those you can pay as you go plans and it just seemed cheaper. But probably was going to be the same thing as CNY in the long run because of the
Right.
flights and the constant appointments that I went to. I thought I would probably have 3 or 4. I ended up going to Mexico about 9 times. So it
Right.
was a lot more than what I expected financially, but I was able to pay on credit cards, pay cash, pay in different ways. And that's one thing I did like about them. They paid as you go. You had a doctor's appointment one day, it might be $50. The next appointment might be $1,000 or so I was able to manage because I didn't have to pay so much at one time. Um,
Do
so
you
my
remember
doctor,
how much total it cost for you to
eighteen
do?
thousand dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, to break it
And
down, the first transfer plus, I'm sorry, the first retrieval plus transfer was 4,400. And she told me on my first consultation, because of your age, like she was really cool. So she was like, because of your age and because of your blood work, my AMH was only 0.175. So I was nearing the zero. So she said, because of
right.
your age and your AMH, and it was something else that she said shows that I had a low reserve. I can't remember which test it was, but she said, what we're going to do is we're going to do duo stem. And I don't know if you're familiar with dual stem, but dual stem is when they do retrievals back to back. So
Right.
you do your first round of retrieval, your stems, and then you do your retrieval. And then 5 days after your retrieval, you start back stimulation to do another retrieval. So I did that. So the first round, I'm jumping all over the place, but the first retrieval, I got 2 eggs, one fertilized, and none of them made it to day 3 because she told me on my consultation that she was going to do freeze them at day 3, let my body rest for a little bit, and pop them in. And that's how she
Hmm.
said it. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm there. Let's do it. So I already knew the not the medical protocol that I was going to do, but I already knew the process of what she was going to do for me. So the second retrieval, and I'll go back to the price. Second retrieval, they got 6 eggs and 6 fertilized, and 6 made it to day 1, and 6 made it to day 2, and then 6 made it to day 3, and they froze 6 embryos. And I was just like, wow.
Wow.
I was like just amazed to go from zero to 100%, literally, you know.
So, just to ask you, do they do the duo stem for those who don't know very much about it and may be thinking that that may be a protocol for them? Is that to like um, kind of say like if the first doesn't work, that your body will maybe hopefully catch on and then try to.
Yes, it's from what I heard is like you not there's some when you have follicles,
Hmm.
there might be some that's not big enough for them to do a retrieval, and there might
Okay.
be leftover. So I think part of the research or part of the understanding of it is that
Hmm.
you're stim again, and those that are left over plus new ones grow during that stimulation process.
I
to like
got you.
get
So it
more
doesn't
eggs.
give you a chance really to have a cycle, right?
Right. You don't have a
You
cycle in
just go
between.
straight, you go straight into it. So your body essentially kind of doesn't, kind of ovulates, kind of doesn't, but just kind of just still keeps going.
Right.
Maybe it's
5 days
sexual.
after the
Okay.
puberty, you go back into stimulation. So yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, then
Um,
happened, and then they waited a month, and that's when I did my transfer on January the 6th. So retrieval October 29th, and then second retrieval November 21st, and then January 6th was transfer.
so my question to you is because I say you were one of the lucky ones who kind of got in and got out with IVF. What
Right.
was your expectation, especially being over 40? What was your expectation of it actually working out
Okay.
the way it was supposed to?
Um, my expectations was very low. One thing about Facebook groups, because I joined so many, and I'm one of those people that research until I do something before I do something.
Mm-hmm.
So the good thing about Facebook groups and support groups is they give you so much information. The bad thing about support groups is they give you the raw, the
Right,
negative. So I had heard so much negative that, and maybe it was me that just kept thinking about the negative, that I had set my expectations so low. It was like, okay, I'm giving my body a chance, 2 rounds, that's it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to go ahead and be rich auntie for the rest of my life. Like, I set my expectations very low. Um, I call it the M word, but I was just like, I can't, I'm 42. The M word is a high chance. So, you know, I haven't told Facebook at this point that I am pregnant, which, well,
right,
I guess they're gonna see now. But I didn't tell anyone on Facebook other than family and friends because I was just still trying to get out of the scary zone. But then you
right.
see someone at 20 and they're the M word, and then someone's 22 weeks and the M word. So it's like there's never a out of the scary zone. So
Right. I mean, and you're right. I mean, we've had women who, get to term and, something happens to the baby. So you're
mhm,
right. No matter the age,
mhm,
everyone is at risk of, somebody just said they've been there at 24
mhm,
weeks.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, you're never out, no matter the age, you're just never out of the woods when it comes to that. Cause if it's going to
Right.
happen, it's going to happen no matter what age.
Right.
But because
Yeah.
you met me, you saw my expert interview, so you came to my group.
Hmm.
Was you thinking about donor eggs an option, or you
Um,
just
yes, it was an option because in the beginning, when I found out I had an AMH of 1.7.175, I was just like, okay. Especially when she was like, okay, your age, we're not gonna push these eggs past 4 days. Your
right,
eggs are, we don't know the quality of your eggs yet, but we know you don't have a big reserve. And I
right,
was just saying, let me do my research and know all my options because
right,
I knew donor was going to be a possible option in the future. I was exploring all my options at that point. Um, Donor eggs and single woman, what they call it, single mother by choice.
single mom by choice,
Um,
single mom by choice. Yeah,
yeah, single mom by choice. I joined that group even though I had a whole boyfriend. Like I was looking at worst case scenarios of everything. So that was me. Um, but yeah, very low expectations. It was, yeah, I might be throwing away this money, but I'm just gonna just do this just to clear my mind and give my body a chance, type of thing. And
and
then,
we tell the women in our group, that you are definitely just fair. It's what I say about donor conception, or with just in general, is the beauty of donor conception is you do have time to delay that decision. If you want
right,
to try, you can, but we've had women who transferred up to 50, you know what I'm saying, at the 50, because now you're just taking the eggs quality out of the equation. And as long as you have, your uterus is capable of carrying, you
Mhm.
can go to 50-52. Some clinics even go that far. So as I say, if you want to try, definitely try,
Mhm.
because you have to make peace with that. Some people, I never tried my own eggs, but that's not a
Mhm.
decision that everybody makes. So, I love the fact that you didn't give up. We've had a couple of women who have done Mexico. They actually
Mhm.
stayed there. They didn't go, back and forth. They just ended up just staying there for like a month
Mhm.
and finding Airbnbs and different things like that. Mexico, we've had a few
Yeah.
women. That is definitely a viable option. It can be a
Mhm.
lot cheaper, even with donor conception. It can be cheaper. Just
Yeah,
in
definitely.
general, is cheaper. So,
Mhm.
but you have to kind of weigh the pros and the cons. Some people aren't able to take a month off
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
go
that was
do that.
that was a
Right,
factor at the time, and it was just like taking a month off. Every time I take off, there's no pay, so that was
right.
definitely something for
Well,
me.
we also had women like some women figured out to do outside monitoring too, and so they only went for like the day, the like a week or so before,
Mhm.
because and the reason probably why you had so many is because you are older, so
Mhm.
now they have to you go in, your follicles aren't growing, so you gotta go back. You
Mhm.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
They give you more medication. Your body's like, girl, what is this? Go back.
Mhm. Yeah. And then my doctor, she wouldn't say she didn't want outside monitoring, but basically that's what she felt. She just didn't say it
Right.
because I'm like, one appointment, and then I'm thinking, okay, all I got to do is go back, and she's gonna transfer. She was like, oh no, we have another appointment. We need to check your we need to check your uterus for this. I'm like, I thought that's what the outside monitoring was for.
Right,
It was just
girl.
like I could not get out of appointment with her. And another thing that I just thought about while you was talking is on my first consultation, she also said, had I brought it to my attention, and she was like, have you thought about donor eggs? And she said, it'll be cheaper. And she was like trying to sell me on that. So that was another thing that said, you know what, let me start exploring that option as well. And then being that I was in Mexico, I'm like, y'all got some black men back there? Like, and nothing against Enrique, but I didn't want Enrique to have my baby. So she was like, oh, there's Haitians and there's other cultures, and
Yeah.
we're not too far from San Diego. I'm like, okay, but it wasn't. I was not sold on the black men in Mexico part. So that was another thing. But I was just exploring my options everywhere. Yeah.
And I think that's fair to do too. We've talked about it. Just sperm donation and egg donation is very. I will say, since pandemic and we've gotten out of that, we have seen more of a pool of minorities being egg and sperm donor now, which is a good
Mm-hmm.
thing. You know, basically, with everything is some money situation. So if we're not open to it or requesting it, then there's no need. That's why I keep telling everybody. There's no need for them to have 65 egg donors when y'all
Mm-hmm.
aren't picking them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no need for a demand there. We have to make the demand, and then they will supply it. But they can screen as many women as they want to, but if we're not going to go do it, there's no point of them even doing all of that. They still have to pay for the time, the resources, the labs, make sure they do their psychological evaluations. They have to make sure they do blood work. All that stuff costs money. So if we're not
Mm-hmm.
picking them, or we're not really, wanting to take that route, then you have to understand that the demand may be lower, but it's still out there. But I do like the fact that I'm now seeing, I think I checked last week, and like I checked this egg bank, and they had about 30-ish, women of color in there, which is really, really good. I was like, it's a rainbow, of different women now. Some of them were biracial. So, we
Mm-hmm.
do run into that, you know, but it is a viable option. And like you said, just even doing IVF, we have several IVF women of Mexico. It is
Mm-hmm.
cheaper to do there.
Mm-hmm.
So You get your embryos. You have 6 day three. What was the decision to put three in because they were day three and untested?
Listen, yes, that's why, and plus my age.
Mm-hmm.
On day of transfer, my legs are in the stirrup, and she's just like, she comes in. First I'm dealing with the techs, and they're checking to make sure I got enough blood. I mean, enough water in my stomach and all that good stuff. Um, was that the transfer or was that the retreat? There's so many things going on. I keep forgetting which time. Anyway, day of transfer, my legs are in the stirrup. She comes in and she was just like, "All right, we're gonna put three in." I'm like, "Wait a minute, let's talk about this." Like, hold up, when did we sign
When did we
into the
decide
contract?
this?
Yes, I was like, hold up. So she had to really calm me down because I was like, wait a minute. And then she was just like, come on. That's how she told me. She's like, come on. How old are you, ma'am? I said, I'm 42. And she was just like, what are we waiting on? And I was like, you're right. I said, but three? I said, I don't want triplets. Like, that's too many. She was like, I
Right.
don't have triplets. The chances of triplets is like very,
Very slim.
very rare, very low. And, it's probably not going to happen. She said, I have twins now, but I don't have triplets. So I was just like, okay. I said, I trusted you this far. Like most times she said something, anything she said, actually, anything she recommended or said, I just went with. So I said,
Right.
I trusted you this far. I'm going to trust you again. So, yes. Some people are just praying for one, I mean, two. And I was like, just be one. Just be one. I've always wanted to be one and done. I didn't, well, not always. At this point in my life, I wanted to be one and done. When I
Right.
was in my 20s, I wanted a boy and a girl. But so yes, I have the pictures somewhere, but yeah, I gave them to you already of the three embryos that she put in, and then about day 5 after the transfer, that's when I started testing, and I saw that light faint line, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this might be actually happening. And then day 11, I went to go get my beta test and got the results on day 12, and it was 153, and I was like, oh, this is happening. Like,
Yep.
so
Yes,
it's like
ma'am.
every moment, every milestone is like, oh, this is happening. Oh. So it was just like that. So I was confirmed pregnant at the first beta, and then it doubled to 583 when I took it on day 14. So I was like, oh, this is happening.
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
um, I flew back to Mexico for week 6, I believe it was week 6. Yeah, I flew back to Mexico for week 6 because at the time I had lost my job, I had no insurance, and I was just like, I'd just rather just deal with my doctor. And everything was going good, everything was great. And then I think I went again week 9, and that's when I heard the baby heartbeat, and it was like 155, and I was like, oh my god, this is happening. Like,
This is happening. And it's just one.
it's just, oh, it was, yes, and it was just one. It
It's
had
just
always
one.
been just, like my boyfriend made a joke. He was like, you're such an overachiever. I bet it'll be 3. Just it would be
Oh
just your luck
God.
to be 3. You're
No,
overachieving.
she's right. Being at
Mhm.
your age, they're untested, they're day three. Because
Yes.
you have to see, like, if they were gonna grow out, like, you know, maybe the one would have made it to day five.
Hmm.
You're kind of, trying to stack the odds and, maybe get two out of there, but
Hmm.
age always plays, egg quality still plays a factor. But the fact that you were able to get, and I don't think people realize that to get 6 eggs, what I'm
Hmm.
saying, and they all fertilize,
That was a
that's good,
miracle.
and they all made it to day three, so that's amazing.
Yeah, I was expecting half because I'm like, okay,
Right,
last time 2 out of 1 fertilized, so it's gonna be half. I always
right.
had my expectations lower than reality or whatever. Not really. Well, it was realistic expectations, but I always had it low. So every moment I'm like, oh, okay. Like, oh, okay. So I am now 13 weeks and 4 days, and my last appointment was not this Monday, but the Monday past, and the baby looks really good, really good.
So how are you feeling about things and you
I'm I'm
know,
I'm excited. It's now sinking in more because before, what they call it, uh, how they call it, a careful optimistic or cautiously
cautiously
optimistic.
optimistic? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you in the chat. Thank you. I was cautiously optimistic for so long. I don't know when to not be cautiously optimistic. So, and with IVF, there's a lot of waiting time. You have your transfer. I mean, you have your
Hmm.
retrieval. Then you wait. Then you have another retrieval. Then you wait,
Right.
and then you wait for your uterus to get healed, and then you wait for the 2 week wait after they do it's so much waiting that you just always cautiously optimistic.
Hurry up
um
and wait. Hurry up and wait is what we say. Hurry
Hurry
up.
up
You
and
gotta hurry
wait.
up and get this done. You gotta get this done now. Then you get
Right.
that done. It's like,
So
okay, well now we wait.
right. So it was like at 9 weeks, I was like, okay, yeah, it's a baby in there, but I gotta wait to 12 because that's the big number. And then when you hit
Right.
12, you see all the M words, like, okay, now 20 is the big number. So it's always a
Right.
wait. You're always cautiously optimistic. And now I'm more optimistic to the point where I'm ready to tell people, but I'm still have that little bit of cautiousness there. So yeah, I'm excited, but I don't know if it's the realistic or pessimist part of me is just like I still keep my excitement to a certain level, I guess.
Yeah. And
I always
I
want
think that
to, yeah.
that's fair because it sounds like you've never been pregnant before.
I've never been was I had an abortion. I'll just say it like that.
Okay.
I've been pregnant in my 20s, but I never had a baby I was anticipating or said, you
Right.
know, you know what I mean.
So, do you ever feel like, we've had women like that before? They've had, been early on and had that with, their pregnancies. Even said it's, things like, I'm going through infertility now. Maybe God is punishing me
Absolutely.
for those things. So you had those same feelings as
Oh
well.
yeah, absolutely. I was just like, yep. Like when you have blocked tubes, it's
Right.
unexplained. They don't know
Right.
why. And it could be lesions from a surgery. It could be STD. It could be
Right.
anything. And I was just
Right.
like, what if it came from my abortion? You know, so
Right.
I've always had that in the back of my mind, like you know what, you made your one thing about me, whatever choices I make in life, I accept them and I
Right.
accept the consequences that come with it. So I did say, you know what, you made that choice in your 20s and that you got to lie in that bed. That's your choice you made. You got to
Right.
deal with the consequences of that. So when I was infertile, I was like, hey, you made that choice. You
Right.
know, at this point, let's see if God is trusting you now and and will give you another chance. But it was one of those, yeah, you made your bed, you gotta lie in it type of thing. So yes,
And I definitely think that's fair, um, that, to have those feelings. You're probably not the only, as I said, we have women who have said the same thing.
mm-hmm,
We even had a girl who, she was an egg donor for somebody else and they had babies.
mm-hmm,
And, here she was now trying to have her own and she was struggling. She was like, well, is it because I did this, that there are children out there with her, there's children out there with her DNA because she was an egg donor and now she has a child who, is not DNA related. She's
mm-hmm,
fine, she loves her. That little girl is so adorable. But,
mm-hmm.
we wonder about the choices that we make in life
Yeah.
and saying,
On top of the fact that
what
she
the
has
past
to
is.
be in that situation.
That
Mm-hmm.
about, yeah. Have I too had block twos afterwards. Yeah, and and what Sanetta's saying is, we don't know.
Yeah.
Um, they really don't know the cause of blocked tubes, and then there's a very short window if you can get them unblocked. And you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to conceive. There's a short window because they could become blocked again. And oftentimes, if they continue to be that way, so they'll just tell you just that you need to get them removed,
Right.
because they're causing trouble, or to prevent any other infections.
Right.
Especially
And
when you're doing IVF, they will
Mhm.
recommend you remove them.
Yes. Yeah, it depends on also where the blockages come from. I think if it's like near the, I don't know the technical term, occlusion or whatever they call it, but when it's near the beginning,
Right.
they they won't they may not tell you to remove them, but when it's at the end, you
And
can
right.
risk ectopic, yeah, pregnancies and
Right.
stuff, and the
Exactly.
fluid and all that other stuff can get in it. Yeah.
Right, because it's really more the fluid that they're concerned about.
Mhm.
That's gonna go into your uterus and cause the infection. So, um,
So I guess where mine was, the doctor never suggested to have them removed. So
moved. Yeah. I
mhm.
mean, all in all, I think that just based on your what you were saying is, I feel like you had a really good RE. You know,
Mhm.
one that was very proactive, because I think that your doctor knew that the window to get good eggs is closing fast. So we got to move,
Mhm.
So we got to move. And
Mhm.
they didn't tarry, which again, I love that about, sometimes you will get that experience with overseas, that they
Mhm.
don't have this whole like, well, we got to get this first and we got to get that first. It's pretty
Mhm.
much like, all right, when can you make let's go.
Right.
And kind of get you on a fast track.
Mhm.
um do you mind sharing the clinic? I wonder if this is the one that's the big Facebook group. Is it that
They
one?
have they have a lot of popular ones. The one I went to was Vita Institute.
Okay, I think they have a
It's a
Facebook.
long name. Everybody knows it's Vita.
I think they
They
have
have
a
a Facebook.
Facebook group. I think they have a Facebook group.
The one that everybody likes is what I forgot the name, but it's Genesis, or I forgot that other one. I can't remember the other one, but the other one has packages, and that's what one that everybody loves.
Lux, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I
so
think the one that you went to, I think that there's a decent sized Facebook group that they all
yeah, it's
can.
about 2,500 in there. It's not huge like the other one, but
Right,
it's 25 and 100 in that one, and it's two. So one has like 1,700, the other one has 2,500.
right,
Um, I heard things together, and then they split, but then that's the past. But anyway, so yeah, when I did my research, um, I the other popular one, which I can't think of right now, but the other popular um, clinic in Mexico that a lot of people go to because of their price packages. Like I think that was quoted for 2 rounds, it was like $7,000. For 3 rounds, it was like 9 or 10, and then for 4 round, it was like 12, $13,000. So most people are like, "Oh, that sounds great," and I was like, "Yeah, it sounds great." But for me, I
right,
I I set my not really my I guess you can say my budget and my rounds at the beginning. I knew that it was only going to be 2 rounds for me and no more, because I that was my mentality in the beginning. You're doing two, whatever happens, you're gonna live with the results. So then I was thinking about doing PGT, and that was like I think 5,000 for per round, and then I knew I
right,
had to think about medication, which was 3,000. So their plan was starting to add up
yeah,
more than Vita's, and Vita's. Um, I was going through the prices with that. It was 4,400 for the retrieval and one transfer. That's for 1 round, so 4,400. I did dual stem, so I paid for another retrieval, which was 2,200. So that put me at for about 68 right there. 66,
Right.
68 right. With just two retrieval rounds and one transfer. Then you got uh anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 for medication for each retrieval round.
Right.
So I think that medication put me at like $5,000 plus the 68, so that's rounded up to 12. And I think travel cost me another five. So that was 17. And then the rest of the money was just like doctor's appointments, ultrasounds, sperm analysis exams, just random things.
So when you got your medication, did you get it here in the States or were you able to get it over in Mexico too as well?
I got it in Mexico. It was very convenient because
Right.
most of the medication I got right at their front desk from their actual clinic.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, almost everything was at the front desk, and whatever she didn't have, I guess she had like a relationship with the pharmacy that was downstairs. So if I didn't get it at her front desk, I got it at the pharmacy. Excuse me,
Okay.
the pharmacy that was downstairs, so I didn't have to go nowhere else for my medication. So it was very, very convenient.
And probably cheaper too as well.
Yeah, it's definitely cheaper than the United States.
Yeah.
I've heard those prices in the United States. It was like, mm-mm. I was paying like, okay, maybe 1,000 at this appointment, maybe 1,500 this appointment for like medication. It was never like 3,000, 4,000. It was never no weird,
Right. Right.
but outlandish number.
Which is
And like I
good.
said, convenient because I can pay some in debit, I can pay some in credit. So it was just, yeah. And I would just take it a credit card. Okay, do this one today, this one tomorrow, spread it out.
Do you know what you're having?
I do not. My last appointment, I was 12 weeks in my appointment, which was the Monday past, not this Monday, but last Monday. The ultrasound tech, she asked did we want to know, and she said we was just like okay we want to know but give it to us in an envelope,
Right.
and she forgot to give us the envelope.
Oh no! Ma'am,
Yes.
you got one job.
So we at the end of our appointment, it was like, oh, she forgot to give us an envelope, and by then she was dealing with another patient. So they was like, oh, just come back. So I said, instead of coming back, I'll just wait, and the wait is killing me. And um, while we was looking at the screen, and there's another thing about the baby, it is like making me a little bit more confident because the baby is like an overachieving baby right now. So at the appointment, they check like if you're 12 weeks appointment, they check a lot of things. So they check in
Right.
to see the baby's brain, the baby's spinal cord. They checking the limbs, they're checking the gender, they're checking all around the baby. And before it's like soon as she put the Doppler on my stomach, it was like starting to move. Like she didn't even get to the heartbeat yet. It was just moving. She was like, "Oh, this one's alive already. I don't even have to check for a heartbeat. It's already just moving." And it was
Right.
just energetic the whole appointment. She was like, "This baby is having a party by itself." I said, "Better get used to it because it's gonna be by itself a lot." You're gonna be playing by yourself with me and
So
daddy.
we'll
That's
we'll have
it.
some play dates or something because this is it.
Exactly. We one and done. So, I mean, the baby was like stretching his legs out in the uterus. It was just really interesting to see. It was so full of energy. And she said, "Have you heard the heartbeat?" I said, "Yes, I heard the heartbeat at the last appointment." I said it was 155 beats per minute. So she put the Doppler on it. It was 155 beats per minute. Again, it was just like, oh, okay, just right on schedule. She said, "You're measuring 12 weeks and 4 days." I said, "I turned 12 weeks on Friday." And by this time it was Monday. So I said, "Well, technically I am 12 weeks and 4 days." So it was just like everything was just measuring out perfectly. And I was just happy and excited. She said, "Next appointment, we'll count the digits on the fingers." And I think I have it here. You can't hardly see, but I have a sonogram, and the baby just basically did this, like, and you can kind of count the digits. You can't really see it here, but the baby basically gave me a high five. Like, I got all my digits, mom. Like,
It's like, calm down. We good, we
you
good, I'm
just have to
good.
now. You don't have to wait to the next appointment. But when it was moving around and moving around, we don't know how to read those ultrasounds the way they can. But I think I saw a boy, and my
You
boyfriend
think it's a
agreed.
boy?
Yeah, he was like, I think it's a boy too. So we think it's a boy, but I wouldn't put my life on it. I wouldn't bet my life.
Well, some boys, they make sure you listen. There's no doubt about it. Because they legs be all wide open. Be like, yeah, definitely it's a boy.
She said she was 100%. So we didn't get a chance to get her opinion of it. So, and then I got a message yesterday from one of my blood exams, and it was saying that the baby tested negative for Down syndrome. So I was excited about that.
Yay.
It's looking great, overachieving baby. I just needed to keep overachieving.
Exactly, exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
my
Because they checked
last, go
They
ahead.
checked the liquid in the neck, and they said if it's less than 3, then that's a good indication of not having Down syndrome. And if it's more than 3 fluid on the
Right.
neck, then it's a possible chance of Down syndrome. So she said it was like 1.4 fluid on the neck. So I was okay then. So I kind of already had an idea that it was going to be negative for Down syndrome from that test. But yeah, just I'm excited.
I love this for you. So my last two questions are, you know, baby's not here yet.
Hmm.
We talk about bonding, whether it's DNA related or not. You're pregnant. And
Hmm.
so what is the bonding been like for somebody you've never met before?
Oh, the bonding. Well, someone told me that if you put like this oils and massaging lotions on your stomach, it'll help with the stretch marks. So I usually oil myself at night, and sometimes I'll do it in the morning, and I'm just like, keep going, baby. You got this. Just motivating my baby. So that's normally when I do the bond. It was just like, you got it. You do it so well. And I already know the song that I'm gonna sing to my baby a lot, which is like um Lauren Hill remade it. You're just so good to be true.
Ah, yes.
I catch myself singing that all the time, especially when I'm rubbing my belly. So that has been our bonding right now. So
I love it. I love it. And my last question to you is, what would you tell a woman who um doesn't have a partner,
mhm.
wants to have a baby in the same situation? What would you be your advice to try? When most of the time, being even in your situation, people will tell you, why are you doing this? Why,
Mhm.
something negative to say,
Right.
as if they paying for something, which they
Right.
not.
Right.
What advice would you give that woman who is in your same situation?
I would first tell them, like I said, the horror stories are great, but the positivity is also good. With support groups. Join Single Women by Choice, which I did. I need to get out of people group right now, but I joined that particular group for support, and I would tell them to definitely go for it. Um, with my boyfriend situation, I kind of had to like talk him like straight up, like, listen here, I'm 42. I don't want to be 52 and say, dang, because I don't even know right now we're not married, so I don't know if we're going to be together in 10 years. So I was just like, I don't want to be having regrets and say, I didn't have a child because I was dating someone between 2021 and 2024 that
Mm-hmm.
was hesitant or, didn't marry me yet or was, dragging his feet or cautious or scared to be a father or whatever the reason may be. I don't want to make the decisions on my life based on that one period of time with a man who didn't make any commitments to me. This is my life, and if this is something I want, I go for it. and I would tell them to go for it. And I would tell them, don't let nobody stop you. One thing about me, I love about me, I don't care what nobody think. I don't care what nobody say. And my family, they know that about me. They're like, you can tell Sanetta to do something, she gonna do what she wanna do. Yeah. If I trust me. I trust me. I've done my research. I'm gonna make the most, I ain't gonna say all the best decisions, but most of the best decisions. And I know the negative outcome. I've weighed my options. So when I make my decision, it's like nothing you can tell me by the end. I missed a small point, but I'll come back to that small point that I missed in my story.
Okay.
But yeah, I would just tell them to go for it. If you're financially stable, mentally stable, physically stable, and you know in your heart and your soul that you can handle it and that you will be a great mom, I wouldn't let no one, nothing stand in my way. I will be researching. I will be in all the groups to find out where I need to go, what I need to do, and who has the best clinic and who has the best this and the best that. So I would tell them to go for
I love
it.
that. I love that. And what part were you missing out on your story?
I just thought about it when I was thinking about this. When my doctor said I was not ovulating, I was over 200. I'm 5'10", but I was over like 200, about 200, over 260 pounds. So she told me to lose, I think she said 10% of my body weight to start ovulating again. So I went to the gym, working out, watching my diet, all that stuff. Lost, I think, 30 pounds. And just like clockwork, my period was coming on every month.
Wow.
And then I'm like, okay, but it's not happening. And that's when she had told me, recommended me to do the HSG thing. But I also gained the 30 pounds back. So I did gastric sleeve. So that was another thing that I did to make me in a better position to have a baby. And all the while, I'm doing all this weight loss and gastric sleeve and all of this stuff. And it was my tubes. So
And it's,
I'm
I
still
think,
happy about it. I'm still happy about the lost weight though. So I wanted to do that anyway.
well, this is this is definitely a testament of, I love us. I love our community.
Hmm.
Um, I love that we love Jesus, but Jesus made doctors.
Amen to that.
So, if something is not happening, definitely, be proactive about it. It's something that I
Hmm.
heard in your story is that you were very proactive. When it wasn't happening after a certain amount of time, you went and found answers
Right.
because there's always going to be somebody saying, in God's timing. Well,
Yeah.
if we
In the
wait on God's
meantime,
timing, we still be trying to wait on the baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love our community. I really do.
that's enough.
But we really rely on Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus, made things for us to get answers to as well. It's great to have the faith, but also get some solid, concrete answers,
Yeah. They say
especially when it
faith
comes to
without work.
something you want to
Yeah.
do. You
Have to
know,
do the work, even with faith.
right, right. So that's what something that I heard, and I love to hear because whether you had a partner or not, you were getting the answers that you need so that you could propel forward.
Hmm.
Even the research on saying, well, I got my tubes blocked. My tubes were blocked. I got them unblocked with the realization that faith comes with work exactly,
Hmm.
that it could be blocked again. And sure enough, they were blocked again. All those
Hmm.
things propelled you in the right direction to get your baby, you
Hmm.
know? And that's what people have to understand is that we can sit there and we can cry about it, but what is the solution? Going outside the country, you know, going to CNY, which is a very popular clinic. We have a lot of CNY girlies,
Yeah.
that get their baby. There's
Hmm.
just so many options in different ways, but you don't know that until you make that first step to
Absolutely.
finding the answers. So,
And Mexico for my gastric sleeve, but go ahead.
oh, you did that too? Listen, I heard it's cheaper there too. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
4,200. If you don't have insurance, 4,200. and I loved it. Loved my
And I
experience.
heard the care too is over there. It's like really, really good. Like they
Amazing.
put you up somewhere too and all that kind of stuff.
That
Depending on
4,200
the
covered the hotel, another guest, and picking me up from the airport, taking me back to the airport, crossing the border, all of that stuff. And my sister went with me, and she was just like, "Oh my God, they check up on you and care more about you than they did when I had my baby." She was, yeah, it's amazing.
I've heard that so many times that the care, that's what I said, like I've seen like even like, you know,
Mhm.
social media where they even have like, somebody who cooks for you and all that kind of stuff
Mhm.
depending on the clinic. So definitely
Very,
don't sleep over
very
overseas. I
well.
have my best friend, her and her husband go to and they stay there a month just to get, their different medication and everything like that because it's cheaper,
It
so
makes
they
sense.
do that every single year.
Racism, they treat you the same. They don't treat you differently. They're just
Right.
friendly people. So like you don't feel like, oh, they're looking at you a certain way or they're treating you a certain way. You feel like they just don't see color. You feel like you're getting the same treatment that anybody else would get. You don't feel different in their country.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us. Congratulations. I can't wait to see the updates.
Thank you so
And
much.
come back. When baby is here, we can talk about your birth story. We can talk about what new mom life is, all the things, I love the stories of, I love that's what I tell everybody. I love the end game, but the middle game, the trying game,
Yeah.
those are always to me because you don't know, until that
Mhm.
baby's in your arms, you just don't know. And so that you're
Yeah.
brave enough to sit down, talk to us, and share
Mhm.
this incredible journey. So if you have blocked tubes, if you are contemplating doing IVF, it can be pricey, but there are affordable ways that you can
Mhm.
get your baby. And I thank you for that. So I'm going to end this with a song, and I think I already know what to play. Um,